let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, I need a sign-in sheet.
There.
Yes.
You know.
I know.
Does anyone have a blank piece of paper that Joy
He
can...
locked it.
Yeah.
It's right here, I think,
I can
Joy.
put up the media tomorrow, I think.
Unless he's one of the smart ones came from Delaware or something.
Yeah.
Because most of them are too. That fact came from Holyoke or
Yeah, that's
Greenfield or something. So that won't be. Yeah, I saw it. My wife said it.
It sure is.
Hi, I'm Joy Hayes.
Oh, hey, Bob Over.
Nice to meet you.
What you do, what are you gonna
No, we
do?
haven't met.
That's a good thing, I guess.
She missed all my when I substituted. She was
Oh, yes, right.
multiple times.
Right.
When he was out.
You're still substituting.
No, I know.
So is this a subcommittee of another committee?
It is, city council.
Oh, it's a subcommittee. Oh,
So what we do is,
I was trying to find it on the website.
Yeah. What we do is when there are concerns, they usually get fed through to the city council. And we have a bunch of subcommittees. There's public safety, there's also finance, there's appointments, there's this and that, there's ordinance, so it goes to different departments. And then this is kind of where the real action happens. And then we kind of take a look, and then what we'll do is we'll bring it forward to the full city council.
That's right.
Okay, so now I'm gonna bring a meeting to order of the City Council Public Safety meeting of November 12th. It is 5 PM. Thank you all for coming. You had a time
please sign in?
constraint?
I don't. I thought.
Everybody
don't.
have pens, I
Okay.
hope.
Yeah,
So
we're not
do you mind if I just kind of run through it?
Yeah, no.
Just
That'd
sign
be
in
great,
on the
thank you.
sign-in
It's gotta
sheet.
be at
I would
6,
appreciate it.
right?
Thank you.
Right.
Yep,
So I'm
I
not-
know, that's why I kind of want to go a little quick.
No, he's gotta be there also. He's got a whole hour.
I know
You
6
gotta-
o'clock, people need this room at 6
you
o'clock.
gotta
We're getting
for-
bounced,
You
so.
got it for the whole hour.
I know. I can do 11.
5:05, we're opening the meeting, public safety.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
So I don't have the minutes from the previous meeting, so we can move that to our next public safety meeting.
I thought I sent them to you.
They were just in the body of an email, and the last time I got them, they had to be like formatted correctly. I can find out.
They're in notes.
Okay. So we have the parking issue on Industrial Parkway. And we have documents pertaining to that. So Amy, if you'd like to kind of describe the situation on Industrial Parkway, there's a charter school there, and it's a dead-end street. So there's some concern about the safety of the children walking in and out of school, correct?
Yes, we're on the corner of Industrial Parkway and O'Neill. And we don't have buses, so we have a lot of parent drop-offs. And we would like one side of the street to be marked no parking during school hours or during the week or whatever is the simplest way, so that parents don't park on both sides, making it hard for particularly the trucks that are in some of the businesses at the far end of the street to get through. We train our parents as best we can, but, you know, not everybody reads emails all the time.
Yeah.
It's really only an issue a couple times of the day, you know, at morning drop-off and at pickup. But it would be great if a section right in front of the building and then down the street a bit just had those simple no parking signs. And there's been a lot of debate about which side of the street there should be no parking on, but when we were initially meeting with building inspector folks and other folks and the bus company, the concern was we didn't want people backing up onto O'Neill as they turn right into Industrial Parkway, so that having people not park on our side was considered to be much safer. So if they can just park on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
that would lend itself.
And I know that you first reached out to the police department and they were able to go and observe
Mhm.
some of the situation there. If you'd like to speak to that?
Sure. So, Bob Alberti, I'm the police captain here in East Hampton. I tasked Officer Ed Murray with this project. Officer Murray went down there and agreed with the school in that he recommended no parking on the school side of the street, which is the westerly side, I believe. Yeah, the west side of the street, for the length of the school's property, which is about 650 feet. In an effort not to back up traffic onto O'Neill Street, like you had suggested. There was also some concern and conversation with the neighbors across the street. They're fine with parking on their side of the street. However, they wanted to make sure that we put some paint down in front of their driveway so that people don't park and block their driveways. That was their own concern. So we agreed, the police department agreed with those recommendations. I talked to Director Pitt, and he is in agreement, in concurrence. His concern was how many signs, what the signage was going to cost. So I gave him the approximate feet, and he's going to look at what he can do for signage there. There was also a suggestion about posting school zone and 20 mile an hour on Industrial Parkway. I would not be in favor of that, to the extent that there isn't that kind of speed or traffic that would warrant that in that area. It'd actually be a waste of money for signage.
So you feel
For
like the no
city.
parking signs would be
That'll
sufficient?
suffice.
And probably 2, beginning and end of the no parking space?
The signs?
Yeah.
No, it'll probably be more like, probably 5, I bet you.
Run all the way down
Yeah.
Industrial Parkway?
Yeah.
Not the length of the park.
No, just the 600, or the 650 feet of the school's
It would be from the
property.
corner until...
Yeah, exactly. So that's our opinion.
Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak about this?
I normally side with the police reports, and I certainly wasn't a traffic person in my black and illustrious career, but what bothers me a little, Bob, and I know Officer Murray out there, is if, and Joy could maybe weigh in a little, because she does the buses on traffic.
Good for the,
And I did have one feedback from one.
Only on buses.
And I did have feedback from one parent, who, I don't want to give them that name, but there's real concerns about, these are elementary age kids crossing Industrial Way, because you have Dietz Construction, the gas company, the post office, landscape companies, which are rather large trucks that can't stop on a dime, you know what I'm saying? And I just have I'm just afraid of kids coming out of that school, seeing their parents shooting across the street, and one of those dump trucks is not going to stop too quickly. I mean, it is a straight shot. You do have visibility. And I was wondering if it was considered, I could see not parking from the corner on the school side, or really right in front of the school. There's like a driveway. But how about where that parking lot is from there on? Why couldn't we put no parking on the other side and then parking beyond there? I mean, the kids, it's not that far. You know what I mean? There's like you come in off the corner, and then there's a U driveway, so I could see no parking here and here, but then it's a large parking lot that keeps going. And I mean, again, I've tried to go down there a couple times, and it just, I'm just afraid of kids running out. I mean, I don't know, you're there more, as I said, I've hit them more in the morning than in the afternoon, so. And then they also have to board, so they're running in front of cars, because both
You don't
kids-
have buses, though.
I'm not saying buses, but even private
Cars.
vehicles,
Okay.
you're going in front of cars, because they.
Buses would be safer because they have the
They
stop
at least have the
signs.
stops, right.
So-
I mean, I'm just throwing that out. That it bothered me a little. so. I don't know what
understand
you're.
Kids are never with, the kids whose parents are parked there are never without their parents, because their parents have to come in.
Into the-
Yeah,
Okay, well,
yeah,
that-
and our 6th through 8th graders are all actually wait out front. We have a drop-off and pickup zone, so they literally get picked up there. It's not big enough, you could never have all the cars do that. So, and we do have a couple of adults out there to make sure that kids don't run out. Is it a perfect system? No. And we could, I'd be open to considering it. We'd have to retrain our parents. I've actually gotten good.
No, I know you had
But,
you had some temporary signs out there.
Yes, I think it was actually the word of mouth and the force of me yelling at people. that trained them, but that doesn't mean we couldn't do it again. I'd have to think about how, what I don't know is whether it would have to go down in front of the next business to us, which is a construction.
Yeah.
and-
Well, I think that's what you were alluding to, past the school.
Yeah, in other words, yeah, there's like a
Yeah.
loop, and then this is another parking lot, big parking lot. And then, so you could park here.
Right.
It's quite a
Right.
way. I mean, I don't know how many parents come. I was there in the morning, and morning's a little different than afternoon. I'm assuming
Absolutely.
because afternoon, if it's like most schools, parents are arriving before, so they're
Yes.
lining up, as
Yeah.
opposed to morning, they're coming in.
Yeah, and
coming
there's a
up.
longer window in the morning.
You've
Drop
given
them
me, I'm liking the fact, I didn't realize that each kid had to be escorted out by their parents, that makes a little bit difference, that kind
Yeah.
of puts the onus a little more on the parents. I just
Yes.
picture maybe
Oh,
things
sure.
have changed. I just picture the
understand.
elementary schools with those things let out.
They're
people-
much better
kids
behaved than you
well,
were.
Absolutely, that goes without question.
No, I won't guarantee that.
That goes without question. So I get
And
that.
that would avoid the backup onto O'Neill Street.
Yes.
And it would avoid having to discuss no parking with the neighbors across the street and now the neighbor
Down
up the street.
Again, I didn't realize that they all came out with their parents, so that makes it a lot better. As I said, I just worry and enjoy it. The reason I only think I said to you is I know bigger vehicles can't stop as
No.
quickly as a car.
Absolutely right. You're
And I will say
spot
that,
on for that one.
I will say that in my few times down there, because I don't live that far from there, so I periodically would drive. I will say that they're pretty good about not speeding on that road.
Yeah.
You know, the construction and the post office people and the gas
Yeah.
company, they're all,
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend owns a company on that too.
they're all pretty good.
The one question I would have, and it would be the fly-by-night folks, because they have big trucks coming in and making a turn into their drive across the street, a left-hand turn in, whether if we had cars parked on our side, whether that would make it harder for those, but it would sort of depend on whether the driveway's lined up and I'm not.
When you don't know, you're not gonna have the scheduled time of the trucks. You
Right,
never
could be
know.
any
Yeah.
time. If the driveway's lined up perfectly, it wouldn't be an issue, but if not, it might make it a little trickier, in the winter anyways. But
There was also a suggestion that the signs have hours on them for school hours. I
I've
don't
done
think-
that. I've done that down at Northampton High School. No parking between, usually it's an hour before the start of school and an hour till after. What are your hours?
basically 8 to 3.
All right, so no parking from 7 to 9 and no parking from 2 to 4.
Do you think it'd just be easier to be like, no parking?
Or no parking Monday through Friday. Either way.
Could do that too. I had to do the no parking between these specific hours because of the
Mhm.
neighborhood
Right.
down off of the back of the high school. And there were people that were parking, if not on purpose,
I think the
but
less
parking there so that the
specificity that we
buses
have
could have
in-
access to get into the high school, so.
I think if we just go with no parking,
And I don't-
those signs might be
And again,
cheaper.
I'll defer a little to Bob, but
Yeah,
I don't
they
think
will
there's
be.
any, aside from the school, there's no real businesses that would get a lot of parking, I would think, on your side, would there? I mean, again, you would know if you're, in other words, if you're going to the awnings, I think there's an awning place
They
in
have their
Fly By
parking
Night.
lot.
They're either gonna park in their own lot, or if they're gonna park anyway, they're gonna probably park on the other side. I mean,
Yeah.
human nature
Yeah.
says you don't walk across
Yes,
the street.
that's true. Yeah, it's Webb's in the awning place, and they have their own parking
I
lot.
can't remember ever seeing on-street parking on that.
Very,
street.
yeah, I was gonna say very
Outside of the
little.
school.
Probably down at the end where the preschool is.
There is a preschool on
But that's in the loop, and they have their own
Yeah.
parking lot.
You don't have a parking lot?
We do,
that. They have actually two. I
Yeah,
guess
we
you're
have-
going both of them there.
and plenty of parents park there, but once you put the staff in,
And I also don't see the impact on commerce to limit it to Monday through Friday. The businesses down there are open on the weekends, so it wouldn't impact commerce down there at all. Not that I can
And, well,
foresee.
and if it is a matter of cost, like Jim has said, that it was like, can we afford these signs, do we
Right.
have these signs? If we just go with no parking, that would be cheaper.
I think.
Than putting any kind
I don't
of-
think there's any reason to restrict it.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to ask.
The businesses don't have a problem that you know of? or,
Officer Spokes.
Officer Murray talked to this.
I know, I think it was Officer
Two
Murray's letter.
businesses that could affect across from the school, and they agreed with the recommendations.
They just
And the
don't want their
recommendations that he
driveways
had
blocked.
made.
That's
We get
common,
that.
that's common sense.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't mean.
They requested signage and lines be painted for no parking. But I think that the lines would suffice. With no parking signs around
Probably.
their driveways. In my opinion.
One's a self-storage place, it doesn't have.
Did you have any indications to whether or not they would be able to get the lines painted?
He said in the spring.
Yeah, obviously not before winter. Yeah.
Well, and we have to talk about the other things that haven't, I mean, this will be queued behind Mechanic Street and queued behind Garfield. We'll have to see what's going on.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten down there, so to see.
Yeah.
After I got your email, the Miranda's like, oh, it's
I know,
down south.
that's why I text you.
I was in Virginia, I was in your country. It's in Richmond
I don't miss it.
all week.
Okay, does anybody else have anything else to add about the parking in front of the charter school here? I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to put no parking signs and city ordinance to not allow parking on the westerly side. No,
Yep, west side of
West-
Industrial Parkway, for
West side.
600 feet.
of Industrial Parkway, beginning at the corner
O'Neill?
of O'Neill, going back 600 feet.
Anything on the lines for the,
And painting, sorry guys, I'm doing this as I'm writing. Painting lines in the abutters driveways. So no one will park them in. That doesn't have to be part of the motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Quick question, did you want to add signage to that motion, or will it painting?
No parking signs.
Thank you.
We're gonna have to make it in the form. We're gonna have to do it as an ordinance, and then the signs will have to follow the
Because
ordinance.
it has to go in that master sheet.
Right.
So I have a motion and a second. Does anybody else have anything else to add to this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
The
Aye.
motion passes. Thank you both very much. Thank you for coming down.
Absolutely. Happy to.
Me too. I told you I would throw a good meeting.
Good night.
Alrighty, so the next item on our agenda, I didn't print out the updated one, but we would like to look at the request to allow on-street parking on a section of Pleasant Street. So I printed out maps, and I gave everybody homework to go and look. I don't know if anybody did that. So the request initially came from Peter Davies. We were talking about it, and I live in the East Works building, so I live on East Street, Pleasant Street. It's a street that I use quite a bit. And there are a lot of people who kind of park on this street anyway. And I can look up the ordinance and know where the parking is and isn't, but the signage is a little unclear. So I think what we're looking for is from about the Felt Building, I think is what we were talking about, from one side of Eastworks, basically, down to the VFW, that stretch of road, and determining what should be on-street parking and what should be not on-street parking.
So what are these little lines? Are those the lines that you're, so you're...
Oh, that was one that I just, that was the one I scribbled on before I got here. I didn't scribble on anybody else's. I was on Google Maps.
So do you want to go Pleasant Green?
That's a crosswalk. I was gonna mark out crosswalks,
okay.
and then I'm like, I'm being compulsive, so I didn't, but I started.
So you're saying about the first,
Yeah, we're the
where, like,
second
Rick's
Pleasant Street.
entrance is?
Yeah, and then
to
stopping by the VFW. So we're looking at about that span.
Putnam Court?
I believe that's across the street.
Putnam Court is it, that's the
That's the
big
first
parking lot.
That's
Putnam Court's
that's
not
the
here.
first
Yeah.
parking lot.
Putnam Court's before.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
before the Riffs, where the registry is, that first registry.
Right.
It's before the Riffs parking lot.
Yes. You know, I remember we put.
Yeah, the felt building is behind that, so that's
So you want to
kinda
go back
what-
to Putnam Court?
I think so. I mean, I just thought that would be the section to discuss. It just says Pleasant Street, which is kind of vast. I mean, what we're, I think we just kind of make a little mental walk down the street and be, it's a good idea here, it's not a good idea here.
So you want no parking from Putnam Court, which is right by Riffs or right, whatever,
Sure.
all the way down to the second entrance to the next parking lot, to the old Stanley Home building?
Nope.
No?
We're just gonna look at a section, because there's a couple of bus stops, so obviously we wouldn't be able to put like, no parking there. There's a section that has 15-minute parking. There's a section in front of the Mill 180 where people are already parking on the street. I just want to make things a little bit clearer for people. So I kind of thought it'd be a good idea to kind of walk down Main Street, starting at, or Pleasant Street, starting at the Felt Building, which is Putnam Court. So in front of, let's use Eastworks as a giant chunk, and there's a bus stop in front of Eastworks on the eastern side. So
There's a new
they have
parking
a
lot
very
across the
high
street.
curb, pardon?
There's a new parking lot across the street. too.
Yeah, dirt parking lot. So it gets some use. There's a
Well,
little bit of
the bus I
overflow.
wouldn't consider parking, the buses pick up and drop off, so it wouldn't be considered parking per se.
No, I just meant like that we would have to allow for that bus stop with any kind of parking
Well,
that was
yeah,
happening.
but bus stop, whatever, go ahead.
So if we look at that section in front of the mills, let's go all the way from Putnam thing down to, I think the on-street
Stanley Home
parking makes
exit.
sense. I think it was no parking initially because there were some big tractor trailer trucks and situations like that. But I mean, people drive down that road really quickly because it is a nice big wide road and people are already using it for on-street parking. So I think it makes some sense to designate some on-street parking on Pleasant Street.
Where?
Well, that's what we're here to discuss.
You can't have it between, in front of going from the second entrance, going down to the loading docks, to the next mill over, right?
So in front of Soco.
Yeah, I'm
180
talking,
180 Pleasant.
I'm talking on the right side, just going down the right side. So you couldn't have any parking between, we'll just say the second entrance exit off of the mill, the old Stanley Home property. You would have to go from there past the loading dock area. There absolutely can be no parking there.
That's wide open driveway too.
And they still use it, I think, don't they? Yeah, so there can't be any parking there during the loading or
I
unloading.
think it's
or
most,
loading.
I think it's no parking now.
It should be.
So
It
what
should be
that is I
posted.
think, there is no sign that says no parking there, but there are two signs just beyond that say 15-minute parking only.
Which I would be across the street.
And that's because
That's
of the
for
convenience store
Jerry's.
across the street.
Right.
Two lots for 15 minutes.
Right.
Yeah,
But that loading dock may disappear within a year.
but that loading lot may disappear, so.
It's being used right now for some things, but going forward, it won't be there.
Mhm.
And we're not planning on leaving that entire expanse open to traffic.
Mhm.
We're going to be restricting traffic from the street into that area.
So you're gonna be closing off that?
Part of it, yeah.
Okay.
And also, there's going to be some entrances coming from the sidewalk into the building, into, the lower levels for retailing.
Farther along, yeah.
That's being done right now.
Yep.
Walls are being taken down, put indoors.
Past Jerry's.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
little past Jerry's.
So,
and I think that it helps, just from like a pedestrian and car driving point of view, like being in front of those buildings, seeing cars parked, you can see that there are businesses and this is where you park and
Sure.
this is a natural, like this is where you walk in. Because right now, everybody kind of drives by it so fast, they're not really quite sure like
Right.
how they get in.
But they
you
are
know?
parking down farther in front of Mill 180, and the
Mhm.
parking along the street is sort of creeping
Yep.
Eastworks way.
And that's what I've actually brought in for photographs, because I've been, because I'm there a lot. I've been paying special attention to how people are using this parking lot, and it's already happening organically, so I think that's why it kind of makes a lot of sense to just, reevaluate what we've got going on here.
So just for my own edification, are we discussing about putting no parking signs or park here signs? Are you putting up no parking signs?
What I would like to see is painting for spots, so that people recognize them as parking spots. That's my impression of what should happen. Because I've never seen a parking here sign.
No, I meant parking.
Oh,
You
okay.
want painted parking spots?
Yep, like we have on Union
Like
Street,
we
like
have
we have
on
on
Union
Cottage Street,
Cottage.
this
Okay.
is part of, the mill project,
That
and
makes more
and
sense.
it makes,
Yeah.
this whole, it circles a commerce area with available parking for people to come
think that would be
and
great.
shop and
Yeah,
do
I-
what they're gonna
yeah,
do.
that's a good idea, but, are we being a little premature? Or we're just having this discussion, we're not gonna come up with any,
We've been
thing right now.
asked to have this discussion.
all right, so we're
And-
having the
and make a
discussion.
determination.
So, should we wait? Do you guys have a plan as to what part of the loading dock you're not gonna block off? Do you have numbers on the side of the road? Do
We
you have any of that?
had a plan.
Okay.
We may have to modify it slightly, although it would affect only about, about 50 feet or so of the frontage in front of that, maybe, what is that?
Past the second entrance exit of
Yep.
Eastworks, that loading dock area there would not be a loading dock going forward. Maybe a
Right.
turnaround, maybe a place to pull in to drop people off.
Right.
There'd be no trucks coming in and out of there.
Right. And it would be, we've been asked to put a sidewalk in
Yes.
to restrict the
Finish-
flow of
finish the
traffic.
sidewalk
Finish the
between the
sidewalk
areas.
between those two areas.
Mm-hmm.
But we have yet to hear a determination, frankly, on whether or not the alleyway between our building at 122 and the Eastworks parking lot, which direction, it's going to be one way, or so I'm told. We have yet to hear a determination of which way that's going to be, and that may bear in on your parking decision, at least within a certain proximity of that exit,
Yep.
whether people are turning in or whether they're just pulling out. But from the face of the cinder block addition, all the way down to the other set of docks, really even beyond, all the way down probably to Mill 180, lined parking would be a tremendous addition.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing when I look at it, because you
Right.
have, whoops, I spun myself around. Let me go back. So these loading docks that you were
Mhm,
concerned
mhm.
about,
Right.
those are kind of gonna go the way of the
Mhm,
dodo.
yeah, I get that.
A little bit. So there's parking that's already kind of happening on this street. I looked at this earlier, and it's a very old version of that, when this Google car came
Yeah.
through. The building looks tremendous. But pretty much in front of this building,
Yeah.
where there is actually 15-minute parking now,
Yeah.
there's no lines,
There's
there's no really telling what happens.
Yeah, I get
and-
it.
And there's a lot more pedestrian traffic because of all of the activity that's happening right now. And people fly down this
They
road.
do.
So I like the idea of having the parking on the street because it will kind of organically slow down that traffic. And we have a lot of people we have good crosswalks and whatnot.
So people can park here right now?
To my
past the-
knowledge,
I
they
mean, there's
can.
no non-parking.
no parking
There's
sign.
no
There's
parking.
no parking.
There's one no
sign.
parking sign down, is it
Right, so.
just past Mill 180 where they built the new parking lot and the walk-in? Is that Mill 180?
That is
The
Mill
new
180,
sidewalk.
Yes, yes.
Which I wouldn't put it between the parking lot
Yeah,
and myself.
all right.
That would be, to me, no parking. But there is one no parking, and then it goes down to the VFW, and they have,
And
the Legion
has
Legion.
handicap parking.
And
in
they
front,
have
up
two
front.
handicap spots.
But I
And-
do think we'd have to back up the parking from that entrance, because that, I was
There's a
just.
fire hydrant right there too.
Okay,
There
'cause
is.
I was down there for the veterans thing, and,
There's a fire hydrant.
you know, the people come up out of that Legion, and it's.
Yeah, you have to-
Yeah, I mean, on the way here,
And
these
you
are,
can't park there anyway. 'cause of the
these
fire
are
hydrant.
3 cars.
And there's a wall on the other side,
Parking on
but
the
I
road.
I don't think anyone parks over there, but I don't know.
So, have you had discussion with our city planner about any of this?
I mean, part of this was, the permits that were issued for the building, those discussions were there. and stuff about the loading docks.
Yeah.
You know, one of the other things is when you bring up the handicap spaces, there are none.
Yeah,
There's
that's a big
no
concern for me.
handicap spaces at the street,
Just down by the Legion.
well, for anybody.
For anybody.
For anybody.
Yeah.
Where's your
And-
handicap, where's your handicap
Our plan puts the
entrance have to
handicap,
be?
well,
Or
our
where's
plan
it?
They're in
has
the back,
the,
there's handicap going, will be in the back, some.
yes,
space.
and we also have a couple of spaces set aside out front, but that's
Okay.
across the street
Okay.
in the parking lot.
In the parking, okay.
Yeah. But we didn't,
Across the street.
yeah, there's directly across.
There's an
the-
empty parking lot
Yeah.
across from those,
Yeah.
from that loading
You own
dock.
that?
Yes,
Mhm.
Oh, and did you pave it?
no.
Or it's just?
It's
been
paved.
paved.
Is it paved? And you have two designated, well, that
I'd have
could
to
be
look.
problematic.
No, I'd have to look to see what the plan
I
called for. I
just,
think it was
you know.
one or two.
Yeah,
That
No,
could be-
I
that could be an
think-
but
issue.
the way it is, the
I
way
think
it is
that some-
now, there's no restricted parking.
Right.
It's
Right,
handicap
right,
for other
right,
things.
right.
Yeah.
So I,
It's kind of a free-for-all.
yeah, I know.
So
but-
what you want to do is you want to encourage more on-street parking by painting lines.
Yeah, we do, but,
Or at least organize it a little bit.
I'm not-
Like,
I'm
I like
not-
things in tidy little boxes, so
yeah,
that could be a
that's
thing.
fine, but I'm not quite sure. I mean, we can designate no parking, we can designate 15-minute parking, we can designate the parking areas.
So the question is,
Is-
this the purview for that?
Where, yeah, and who's gonna measure it all out, who's gonna do all the plans? That's not our responsibility, that's beyond us. So that's what I think that
Okay.
you need to have the discussion with Jessica, with our city planner, and come up with a viable plan, measure it, get from her, I don't know what the parking size standards are, I don't know any of that.
Okay.
I know how to
Well,
drive a bus, I know where I can
Well,
park a bus, I know where I can't park a
And
bus.
to that end, I would have Joe Pip on the.
Yeah, and.
Yeah,
and-
'cause
in
it
that
doesn't
conversation,
seem
he's
like-
gonna know.
W, yeah.
It
because-
doesn't seem like it should be the property owner's responsibility to lay out parking on a city street.
No, it would be Department of Public Works and the
And
city
planner.
planner. That would, yeah, I mean, she's got all of that in her computer and all of her.
So we can make a
so she
request.
could- Yeah.
So what we can do is, we can do it. We can make the request to the city planner that we'd
We
like to
can,
look
yeah.
at the viability of painting on-street parking spots down Pleasant Street in front of the Mills minus Eastworks. I think we're all in agreement on minus Eastworks, right? They have that big curb and,
No, yeah.
But I mean, I guess if you're, I guess I'd like to
There's-
see the planner look at it with Public Works and
Yeah, she
the
can look
police
at
and
it,
come
yeah.
up with as many spots as we can safely put.
Well, one of the things we knew.
With visibility coming out of entrances, and I mean, I think it's a little bit more,
Yeah, because there's a certain amount of
You gotta go
setbacks that you
between
want from
driveways
entrance and
to-
exits, and then you said there's a bus loading and unloading area there.
In front of Rips, it's only 28 feet wide, roughly, there. It's
Yeah.
wider, just wider.
It's wider down on that end.
Selco.
Right. I think it's too busy to
Right.
even consider it.
no, and I didn't want to like
Yeah.
make like a unilateral decision on something because it's not necessarily something that I'm intimately familiar with.
Well, I think that also
But-
Joe and Jess, because now Putnam Court, you know, is now going to be the other entrance to all of the parking behind, where that really wasn't
Really?
so before.
Mhm.
Right.
They're gonna use
Everything's
Putnam
go-
Court for that?
Well, everything is going to come down by the Legion,
And then come-
behind into the parking lots.
Right.
And then it's going to funnel back up and come back out to Pleasant Street.
Oh, I see
Right.
that, I see there's a
So
little,
that whole, where that comes onto Pleasant Street is going to have to be rethought anyway for sightlines.
yes, you know better
So
than
parking
anybody.
there, I don't think is a good idea, but I think, you know, it's getting down closer, whether across from Eastworks or starting at Sullivan and going down to Building 180.
And it supports the businesses that are going to be going in there. I like the way it kind of encircles the whole project. So.
What number is the building where the loading docks?
122,
And it has a new name, too. It's no
Keystone.
longer the Sullivan.
It's no longer the Sullivan.
Keystone.
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 in this town, it takes years to.
I know.
Even when you change the.
I'm from
Even when you change the
Stanley
sign.
Homes.
Decades.
Les
I'm
Now's.
saying.
Come on, you know?
Yes, Les Now's. was another-
Kellogg.
That's right.
Kellogg Brush, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Take them down to Nolet's.
You're really
we
pushing
used to
it
get
now.
that.
You're
Yeah.
really pushing that one.
Okay, so
Like
let's
Eddie
put,
Plaza.
I will put this request in writing and send it along to the city planner and copy you guys on it.
And make sure you CC Joe Pitt on it, because you're
Mhm.
gonna have to,
What kind of a time frame are we looking at?
Is there,
Ask him like, I don't know, like 3 weeks or something?
need for this to be done?
Turnaround?
Well, it depends on how buried Jessica is, and they have to meet with her.
She's always
because-
buried.
I know.
Yeah, and you guys need to meet with her to
Give her your suggestion.
give her all of your suggestions, and once she puts it together and everything, then she can come forward to the city council. Everything in writing, everything black and white, all of everything, logistics, the footage, all of it, all right there, number of parking spots, and
And you said the loading docks haven't closed yet, right?
They have not
So, I
closed
mean, there
yet.
is time, we can't do
Yeah,
it
we
until the
have
loading
time.
docks close anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
And if there
But
was
we
an
could have the
estimate,
plan ready so
Right,
that.
that's correct.
Sure.
So that when it is closed, because nobody's painting, I mean, if we went
Yeah.
back on
Not until
other
spring.
things, nothing's
Yeah.
gonna be
Right,
painted.
that's right.
exactly, that's what I
nobody's
was
pouring
gonna say.
But I
cement,
mean, that
nobody's
gives
gonna do anything
that gives a
till
few
spring.
months of
But now's the
slow,
time to do it.
slow-moving city.
Yeah.
I think the
Sure.
timing of it was, in conversation with Jen, was that, you know, you were dealing with parking issues in various parts of the town. And I think Jessica's, or one of her comments was, you know, there's some other places we should be looking too, and I figured.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we-
Raise my hand and
Jump in
get it
there.
out. Or
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
you know.
And then, of course, then we're gonna have to, then, you know, along with this, we are gonna have to abide by the parking regulations for the winter parking.
Sure.
So this isn't gonna, yeah.
Right.
Now's the time to plan it, though.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
And get it all
That's
into the
how to get
works,
up,
so
right.
that maybe by February, March.
Right.
Nobody here is in any
Okay.
terrific
Okay,
hurry.
perfect.
And I don't want to exercise Jessica, you know, in 3-week
Right,
window
yeah,
for.
right.
No, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but as long as it's put on
Just
her
say no
plate, as long as it's put on her plate from
This is
us
easy, no?
that,
That's easy.
that this needs to be done and that we're gonna look at it again in the spring, when you guys are ready to move forward with all of your construction projects on the front side, then we can coordinate
Well,
it so that
construction
we
has
can.
started, so.
Huh?
Yeah, it's
We're
already-
gonna be seeing some more cars along the street, one
Yeah.
or the other, yeah. Yeah.
But it does seem good timing to coordinate with the rest of the parking
Sure.
and the.
I just wanted to get out in front of it,
Yeah.
because before
Yeah.
things started to happen, and to get your input, so that, you know, it's like, does this seem like, you know,
And I do like the
safety
lines
issue or
because, I mean,
anything
let's
like
face it,
that?
everything was designed down there
Yeah.
with the trucks. Definitely. You know,
Yeah.
That's why it all had to be wider and.
Yeah, I mean, when we were-
Because
when
when
we
it
were-
was back in the old mills, the trucks used to come. I
Well,
mean,
when we
many
were
a
back
time
in
I
the
was
old
on Pleasant
mills.
Street where you had to wait as they pulled in the
Right.
road.
And another thing is, there's just so many kids in
You
that
hope you didn't get
neighborhood,
the
they're
rookie.
constantly crossing the street, that road is so wide, people just book,
Right.
they just fly.
Well, and
That
as
corner's
you say, the
banked
trucks are
really
along there.
nicely.
The
Right.
uses have totally changed from what it was designed for.
Yeah, I mean, when
You
we were
wanna
kids
try?
growing up, though, I can remember both sides, and Captain
Tried.
Hanno can
There was
attest
one
to
in
this.
Garfield,
Both
I couldn't
sides of
believe
those
it.
roads
Like, one little
were filled
mention,
with
boom,
employees
Fort Hill.
that were all in the factories, and I
Right.
mean, it was packed. You
Back in the
you
day.
drove down on Pleasant Street, and every side, every inch of space was taken up by employees, because they had no place.
Well, I'm not gonna show, you
So-
know,
That
the
was the whole
license
reason
plate
the
of the guy
variety store
parked on the
got
wrong
those
side of the
15
street,
minute
but
signs.
that
No,
was happening.
no, they were
too.
just,
No, but I'm saying that's why they got those
There's a
15-minute
trailer
signs,
there.
because
Someone's
everyone
gonna
parked there all day.
Right.
So if they didn't,
It's
if
safe
they
for
didn't
sale.
exempt that one bunch of
They
people
were
from doing after. And
yeah.
James lived there?
I'm sorry?
Hanging.
Open space and.
I'm a hat.
In the. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I guess so, yeah.
That's what we're here to figure out.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
Like, or me.
It's just a couple of
Or
trailers.
it'll be-
I don't think you can have trailers just on the
You haven't
road,
seen my
though.
sign, Joe?
So, all right, so the plan is that the chair is going to send a letter to our city planner and our director of public works to put this into the sight lines, that this is one of the things that we really want to
Yeah,
have
and
done
connect this group
for
of people with them so
spring,
that they
yeah,
can all
and
work
with you
together.
guys, so
and-
that you can all kind of come up with a plan and tell her exactly what it is that you're looking at. Once the city planner and the planning board gives us their, it's good, then it'll come back to us, and then we'll work with the police department to make sure all of the footages and everything are all correct in the ordinance language, because you've got to make sure that every foot is accurate for that language. And then we could just do the whole Pleasant Street and get it
And I
done.
think also some more crosswalks, I mean, you know.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I know coming across from our parking lot over to the building is gonna be of a concern, but yet,
Yep.
you know, Eastworks has that parking lot across the street.
They need a
It's like-
crosswalk, yeah.
and there's no crosswalk there. And obviously, we have a playground. I mean,
Yeah.
there should be a crosswalk.
And
Yeah,
there
it's
should
got a lot of things going for it.
There's
There's
one on
great
Conway.
sidewalks on both sides, there's a lot of
We have good
pedestrians walking
sidewalks.
around,
Yep.
Oh,
so,
there is
yeah,
just
it can be a
one.
really
There's one.
pretty little street. We
And there
will
probably
push
should
that
be
right up.
parking on the other side in front of the playground areas for parents to be able to go
Right.
down
Oh, yeah.
and park on that side of the street. That will slow the traffic down a little bit too,
Sure.
in that area. And then we need signages. We do have a playground down there. There should be a sign there. Playground, ahead. Pedestrian crossing areas,
We got kids with bicycles going to the bike path to go to the playground.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
We should probably have a bicycle pedestrian crossing area down there. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can do. It all costs a lot of money, but if Jessica takes a really good in-depth look at it and then, so I think that's where it needs to go, so.
That sounds like a good
Does that
plan.
make
No, it
sense?
Makes perfect sense.
We got 16 minutes, ready to kill this?
Yeah.
So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
So we had, I had Barbara add a couple of things to the agenda because I had heard something about Garfield Avenue, which I talked to Joe about. We can add this to the thing. So do you remember Garfield Avenue? We had looked at, we had a speeding petition from Garfield
What, the
Avenue.
high school speeders?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the police did an in-depth.
I was on the committee too.
Yeah.
Right, I remember you were on the committee, and they went down numerous times, and it really wasn't as much of a speeding issue at times. I'm sure there's always speeding.
I mean, it's funny, because, I don't doubt obviously the police records, but you talk to most any resident, and it could be perception, but they swear people are going too fast on that road.
Of course it is.
But you guys all had the data where,
Yeah, my only argument to that is talk to any resident on any given street, any street in this
Yeah.
town, and you're gonna get the same,
Try living on Holyoke Street.
we just heard
So
about it tonight
I-
with Pleasant Street.
So I cruised through there before I came. Here's me going 11 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And they had a speed sign out there. And I don't think, did you guys know that we were talking about Garfield, or is that just a
No
coincidence?
coincidence.
Great.
because I remember there were three things. We wanted to repaint the crosswalk.
Yes.
Yeah,
We wanted
so-
to put like a slow thing down, but that was very seasonal, because if it becomes a plow.
Right, that's
So
right.
we could
So-
almost be coming down very soon.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was a
sign
parking
off of-
buffer so that people could see onto Hisgen in case some kids were
We
coming down. or
agreed to
something.
that, didn't?
Yes.
Yeah, we
We
did that.
all agreed
But I don't
to
think it
that.
was it ever put in?
This is it, that I'm not sure if it was.
I don't think there was, because I went down there, Bob, they were supposed to put a sign, no parking
They were.
by hidden.
That's right.
Is it hidden
Right.
skin?
Yeah.
Hisgen.
So
Yep.
far from there, because
Parking
it's a
sign
real
for
problem.
taxis.
Mainly, a lot of the Williston kids come up, they use the fields, and then they cut down there and cross Garfield heading back.
Yeah, my recollection,
Six, yeah.
my recollection of it was they were gonna put a sign from the intersection, no parking,
Yeah.
and that was the extent of.
From here to
And
corner or
redo the light,
something.
and
And
repaint
redo
the
crosswalk.
crosswalk.
That was.
So the update that I
Yeah,
got
put a
from the
temporary
resident who had
sign in the
initially
good
made the
weather
complaint
ones.
on Tuesday was basically saying none of those things happened.
And I must admit, and I think the same thing happened with Mechanic Street, because we had very specific things done for Mechanic Street.
Remember that?
Yeah, and I don't
And
think,
they were ever-
that got done either. And it's not as much of an issue now that the doctors moved out of there. However, if they want to rent that out to another doctor, it will become an issue again. You can't have parking on both sides of that street. You
No.
just can't. It's too narrow.
And then they relieved some pressure by putting that lot in.
Yes.
Crosswalk and the no handicap parking.
And that's why he did that.
So I have the four things that we were gonna do. We were gonna increase the length of the no parking areas on both sides of Garfield to allow better visibility of Hisgen? Archie?
Hisgen.
Ave at the intersection, installing a pedestrian crossing cone during seasonal friendly weather, making sure the crosswalks be painted frequently to maintain optimum visibility, and high school public safety officer working as a liaison to the school to make students and staff aware of the traffic issues on Garfield.
That part was.
Those were the four things.
Yeah.
Because the neighborhood, what they really wanted was a stop sign there, and I think
Yes,
public safety,
we argued that.
for a bunch of reasons,
Right.
said they wanted
Four-way
to
stop
know.
signs.
They said those are more dangerous.
They're awful.
So yeah, it does cross on either way. There's a stop sign that obviously got thumped somewhere. And then there's only two crosswalks, like across Hickson and then across Ward. So it isn't like a four-way cross stop in any way.
We never, I don't think we ever agreed with.
No, we weren't gonna do that. I was
Okay.
just, those are the
That
conditions
was
as
one
they
that
stand
I
right
think the
now.
neighbors asked for that.
So what are we,
Flooding back.
we're saying so that signage on past votes have not been put up, so I think what we're gonna need to do is follow through and write a letter to Department of Public Works and say, you know, we passed these ordinances, police were fully in backing us up on all of this. We passed it in city council, we made it law, now you need to put the signs up, period.
Both there and
And,
mechanics.
and this is something that I know the public is really interested in, that knowing like what work orders specifically the Department of Public Works is working on, as far as like what streets are gonna be paved next and how those things are gonna be happening. So having a little bit more transparency in what do you call it, a DPW to-do list, like this is what happens next? Because, I mean, we just loaded on, you know, no parking on Industrial Parkway.
Then
and-
you're going to need to talk to the Board of Public Works because they're autonomous from us,
Okay.
if that's what you
And
want
a
to
lot of
have
that would
done.
be, in my opinion, I think a lot of that would be problematic because the public works priority list changes quite regularly. Because by
The next
different-
emergency.
by the next-
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have a list and then a pipe breaks and
Yeah.
Yep.
all
It's
the
a
money
very
that they
fluid
had
list.
on their list.
Yeah, and how other cities deal with
Goes
that is
over
that
it.
it is updated just once a week. Like,
Yeah.
you know, this is, like, in a perfect world, these are all the things that are gonna happen.
Well-
And then it's not a perfect world, so.
You can talk to the board on that because they are autonomous from us,
Yeah.
so.
The
Talk to
other
the
thing-
Board of Public Works.
The thing about Mechanic Street, that the guys from East Hampton Feed said that with a heavy winter with a lot of snow, when you have parking, it's very hard for,
Oh, Joe, it's hard for even a vehicle, a
Yeah.
car.
so besides the doctor moving out, even if.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have, if somebody is parked on either side of that road, it's one lane.
Yeah, yeah.
So does it make sense for us to put Mechanic Street back on our agenda to look at, to kind of relook at what we had
Well, I
suggested?
think
No,
we
I
made
think that-
recommendations,
we
it's just I don't
made
think
the
the recommendations were
recommendations,
followed through.
and we
with the
voted on it.
So we
It
still
just hasn't
agree
been-
with the recommendations?
Yeah, I mean, there's
So
nothing
they
wrong
just
with.
haven't been followed? Because
Yeah.
I don't, you're right, I don't know what
The signage hasn't
the,
been put up.
I don't know what the procedure is afterwards, like that happens. We're like, okay, that happened,
Yeah.
and like, how does that happen? Because that seems like, in my language, we would call that an
Yeah,
open loop,
I
and we
mean,
need to
put a lot
close
of-
that.
We put a lot of time and effort into those projects.
Yeah,
Precisely.
well said. Yeah. So I think that, pull up the ordinance and send it to the Department of Public Works and say, this is what the city council voted on. We need to get these signs up, period.
Mhm. So we'll do that for Mechanic, and then we'll also do an
Exclamation.
update on Garfield.
Period.
You want to be nice, period.
Do you guys want to talk for another
End of
10 minutes? Because I think we've done pretty well.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'll just again apologize because I know that Paul Street thing, it came off the agenda, we now put it back on. There was some question procedurally, how do we put it back on, which I said I would find out. but Still working on it.
I mean, I'll just introduce it at the next city
Yeah, I
council
guess- I
meeting,
guess
that's
there's no reason to
fine,
introduce it.
you know?
Because you took it off without
We
prejudice.
took it off without
I
prejudice.
took it off without prejudice.
So we
I was a
can
little
re-
judgy, but I
You can-
wasn't prejudiced.
You can reintroduce it if it's taken off without prejudice. Nothing was
So,
voted on.
then
Yeah.
let's-
So it's
So
just
Joe?
removed without prejudice.
Hey, Joe,
Good.
I'm just gonna add it to the next city council
Okay.
meeting and throw it on and just, because we removed it without prejudice and
Right.
just reintroduce it. Because we did get all the answers that we were looking
Right.
for, so now we can move on it. So,
Mechanic Street acceptance.
yeah.
Good job.
I think, I would entertain a motion
Motion
to,
to adjourn.
so moved.
Second.
All good?
Okay, yeah.
Motion
Yes.
passed.
Then just
Thank you
put that,
all.
just put that in writing for Barb, just. I'd like to introduce the Paul Street.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank you.